How's it going, guys, and welcome to this video. Right here, this is a new segment that we're featuring here at Baldcafe. What you're going to see is a bunch of guys that we've featured on the channel before. We're in a Zoom call and we're going to be answering your questions. We're going to be discussing a load of different topics all related to hair loss, and they're going to be time-stamped down in the comment section. So if you've got any questions, hit the first link in the description, post them there, and in future episodes we can answer your question and just continue to help out as many guys as possible. Guys, sit back and enjoy this video. This is a guy, he says, I'm 24 years old and I've been balding since I was 17. He said, I'm really scared of shaving off my thin hair because I have lost all my self-esteem, right? So he says, you know, going through this balding stuff, he's lost his self-esteem. So I think the advice here is like how to build your self-esteem.
That's kind of to a T, more or less probably how a lot of us felt, but that's definitely how I felt. That was one of the things, like it came down to how I felt about myself. And when I was looking at like the bald, for mine was crown. But it just, you know, like that spot's getting bigger and bigger. My question to this person, and, you know, I don't know what state of mind, if the, you know, like how unhappy this person is. I don't mean this to sound too cynical, but I'm saying, what do you have left to lose? What are you, you know, you want to build your self-esteem. You're certainly not going to build it by sitting on an ever shrinking patch of hair, you know, however it manifests itself, pulling back, crown, thin, whatever. Like you're not, it doesn't look like things are improving on their own. So my thing with myself is like, okay, I like to control whatever I can, you know, in life. Certainly this is no exception. And it's like, we can build self-esteem by creating a whole new look. It doesn't sound like the one you have is working. So why not try something new?
100% agreeing with Greg here. It's just hair. And I think it's really important, especially right now with this whole lockdown thing, that it's important to find other things that you like to do and other things that make you happy, and just really like self-love. They always say it's important. Self-love is important, and hair literally has nothing to do with literally anything. Like it's just an accessory. I mean, if someone doesn't have eyebrows, who cares? Like it's just eyebrows. If someone doesn't have an ear, I mean, well, that's different. But in the end, it's just hair, and I think it's really important to just own up to your look. And I mean, it's confidence is key. I mean, we've all said that. So
yeah, no, I agree. I think you got to kind of sit back and, you know, weigh up really how much, if you're putting like, you know, how much focus are you actually putting into your hair loss, how much wasted energy you're going into it. But then also you can also look at all the options you do have as well. You know, so some people, doesn't always have just to be the shave, bring out the shave and go for it. You know, you might find peace for a bit if you maybe look at some like potential treatments. Like for myself, I did like Rogaine, minoxidil for a good year. And it was pretty much obviously just to build that confidence for me, just knowing I had maybe something that was maintaining for a short while. But obviously as time went on for me, I realized, you know, this is not going to be a long-term solution for myself personally. So then that's when I then started looking, obviously, you know, going for the shave look. So yeah, I think you've got to kind of weigh up really things, how much energy and time you're putting into the worry. And obviously then doing your research, but not doing too much research, because you'll see lots of, you know, negative stories as well. But also you'll see very good, you know, positive stories. So I think, you know, just take your time before just maybe making a rush decision.
I think I actually said something similar yesterday too, and like to what Greg said, there's like, it depends on his state of mind and has he got anything to lose. Like what might help, I didn't do that, but you could maybe do, like, it sounds really old fashioned, but like a pro-con list on a little sheet of paper. Just write down what's going to happen if I really just buzz it off and I hate it, or I don't feel confident. Yeah, and just weigh it up. It is a long process, but yeah. And the thing is, like, we've all maybe taken the like radical approach. I don't know, but maybe like you just need to find your own way. And yeah, it's I don't know, it's quite difficult, to be honest too.
I think with like building self-esteem, I think that you've got to have, like, for young guys, you know, someone said this recently, for young guys, you know, whether you're in university, maybe you're just going into work, something like that, you know, you haven't been on this earth for that long. So things like when you're in school and that, your looks when you're growing up, they seem like some of the most important things ever. You know, they are literally the most important things that you got going on at that time. And so if your attention and if your sort of self-worth is in your sort of appearance and into something that, like Lucas said, really doesn't matter, like hair, obviously when you're older, when you go through it, you realize that. But I think for a young guy, you have to start to like focus your attention in other things, you know, other positive things. Like, you know, Greg's got his filmmaking. You know, Lucas, you've just started college, right? You've just started
I'm
university.
just graduating. Yeah.
You know, Luke's down there smashing out bench press maxes and stuff like that. You know, it's like it doesn't matter what it is, right? But I think for building self-esteem, you've got to have things. It could be anything that you are like working towards, striving to achieve. You know, it can in anything, because then things like hair and that just become way less important. And if it feels less important, and your self-esteem is built up in other things that you do that are going to last, that you can progress in. It's not something that, you know, regresses. Like, I don't know, let's take that one, the gym, running, filmmaking, right? Those things you can get better and better and better. Hair, for literally every man, is going to fall out, right? For us, quicker than other people, for a lot of men. But it's like, it's not something that is like, if you're just continuously trying to build your hair, you're fighting a losing battle if it's falling out, you know? So if your self-esteem is in that, you're building that as self-esteem on something that's really fragile. So I think that's key, just having something else positive to focus on. And I think we all realized it, like after we shaved it off, once you just like physically remove that thing that you're worrying about, you then kind of think like, oh, now I've got all this time to like, oh, I should pick that back up. Oh, that podcast I was going to start for ages. Like, why don't I crack on with that? You know, it's, a lot of people realize it afterwards, but I think for a young guy, if you're struggling to like with self-esteem, start building that stuff up now, you know, so that when you do eventually go for it, you've already got that stuff to focus on.
All of us are really young. We're all in our 20s. And I think you said the guy with the message, he's 24 years old. Is that
24
correct?
now, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's young. I mean, we're young, we're wild and free. We can do literally whatever we want to do. These are the best years of our lives. And there's a video that Harry put out, and I don't know which one it was, but Harry said to write down like 5 goals and keep that around. And I've taken that into consideration, and I've written down my goals, and just motivating yourself to be a better person. Maybe read a little bit more, but form some better habits, you know, go for a run every day if you can do that, you know. I mean, small definitive goals. But I feel like just putting aside the hair loss is just, it's such a relief, because I remember when I had hair, I would always do this, you know, kind of like make sure like this is covered up. I just don't have to do that anymore. And I'll just let you guys let him know in a little secret. I love not having hair. I mean, people love not having hair.
Yeah.
100% on the not having hair part. And as far as like the amount of extra time you have to worry about literally anything else you want is like, you don't know it till you have it. And it's like, once you get a taste, you're just like, all right, I could not give a shit less about hair. You look at other guys, like the jealousy that you experience now with hair that's not where you want it, wherever that is, that will go out the window so fast compared to how much more time you have to go for a run, how much more time you have to edit that video, how much XYZ more you're able to do, because you're not worried about your perfect little pump and then buying products and money, and it all adds up. It's crazy. But what I was going to say is, like, for me, Lucas said that he had the little swoop that he did. For me, every time I would see myself in a vlog or like a behind the scenes shot where like I'm bending over and you can see the top of my head, again, that like crown spot, any picture from the back, like these pictures that would have been so freaking cool if it wasn't for the bald spot. And here I am trying to figure out how to fix that. And it's like, just shave it and like take all the other benefits that come with that and the dope photo. And it's that was my reminder. And that was kind of my like nagging thing. Like, you get reminded of it every time XYZ happens. Mine was every time I saw myself on a picture or film. And it was nerve wracking. And like you said, you're trying to build an ego on a very fragile thing that is male hair. It's literally just there for decoration. Like it falls out. It's there long enough to get, you know, into the dating pool. People know what you look like with hair, and then it falls out. Like it's a biological optimism, because as males, like, we don't care. And now we can put our time and effort into other things. Like, we're supposed to be providers, right? So it's like, get to providing and don't give a shit about shit that doesn't matter.
Yeah, literally. I like that providing thing. Greg, really quickly, I don't know if anyone else wants to add anything to that. You know, so back when, obviously, we talked a lot about in our own sort of like conversation when you did the films, and you said like there was, the pictures from the top, great picture, but because you're, you know, the bowl's up there, you're like, no, okay, we can't have that. So when you did like videos and stuff, if there was a lot of shots and you knew like, oh, they'd shot a lot of like from the back or whatever, would you be there in like post edit, like, okay, I want to use this shot, but not with my head in it? So like you're cropping it like right in and stuff like that. Were you doing that?
You're describing it to a T, and like you guys are laughing, and it's like, we're laughing at it now because it sounds
I was like that too with pictures. So
what lengths will we go to hide this problem that is literally never going to go away?
Yeah.
and it just, like, I laugh about it now, but the extent that we're laughing about it now, take that and turn it 180 degrees. That was the stress and the anxiety that I felt. That same amount, if not more, as I'm looking at this otherwise great shot or otherwise great photo, or it's just like, you just kind of have this oh shit moment, this like oh fuck moment where you're just like, why? And it's like, I don't know why, dude.
I think we're laughing. Sorry, Liam. Just really quickly, I think we're laughing because we know, like like it just seems so strange. Now, thinking back to that, like, you know, it seems ridiculous from now where we're sat here now. You know, I did the real life equivalent when I would deliberately be late to classes that I had paid a lot of money to go to. And I would deliberately be so late so that I was the last person in the classroom. So I had no choice but to drag a chair in from the hall and sit right at the back, so no one could sit behind me and I was like thinking, oh no, they're going to see this. And if someone turned up after me, I would move to the back and I'd just sit like this the whole lesson, you know? It's like, Liam, go for it, man. Sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. Literally, it got to the point with me. I was so paranoid that I would dread going to parties where I knew people would be taking pictures, like of me dancing, like from behind or something, or with other people. That when I know that someone had taken the picture and I saw it, and I just thought, oh, I look terrible. I would ask people to delete it and everything, and always like think or get excuses for why I want them to delete it. Because obviously I'd never say, oh yeah, I don't want them to see me thinning hair. It was like, it was really terrible. It was a real, like nearly disorder or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was really
an obsession.
Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does become an obsession. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, listening to everyone's story, because like, it's so similar. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I can kind of like relate to like when photos getting taken. It's like when my girlfriend's like, oh, do you want to have a picture? It's like, yeah, sure, why not? And then we do like a couple of pictures, and I'm just like, that's not going up. Like, my hair looks whack. But yeah, literally, like it's and obviously I'll be like, no, delete that. And then before you know, it's maybe like half an hour, and we're like late for the meal, and then we're actually going to go eat. So like, it's crazy. But yeah, no, I think when you get to that stage, you just really have got to take a step back and just be like, is it seriously worth, like, think how much it's like controlling your life, man. It's crazy.
It starts to affect other people. And I think that was one of the biggest things where I started to kind of realize the impact that it was having. Is like, look, you can trash yourself all day long. Like, mentally, you can tell yourself you're not good enough. You can do everything you want to tear yourself down. But when you start affecting other people, like asking to delete a photograph, like in 2020, or even, I mean, at any point, like it's like offensive. Like you know what I mean? Like, it's beginning to become a problem. It's like, no, actually, we're not going to do that. There's no way we would do that. We're going to post the photo and you can deal with this.
Yeah. So, we'll move on to the next one, shall we?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, good stuff. So this is actually an email that I got, and I've like edited it up a little bit, just made it shorter. So we've got another guy here, another young guy. Okay. He says, I'm 22 years old, and I've been losing. It's a bit longer, this one. Okay. I'm 22 years old. I've been losing my hair since I was 18 years old. He said, like many others, I'm very self-conscious about my thinning hair, receding hairline. He says, I'm taking finasteride, the shampoos, the oils, laser therapy helmet. He says, I'm doing all of it. It's bothered me for years. And only recently, especially after you've seen the YouTube channel, he realized how much it's hurting his like mental health and his quality of life. He says he's dealt with depression and low self-esteem and a number of issues. They've all been brought on because of this hair loss. He said he's tired of knowing that it isn't a big deal and that hair doesn't really matter, and still obsessing over it every day. Now, there's still a bit more, but bear that one in mind because I think that's quite an important point. So yeah, he's just tired of obsessing over it every day. Now, I feel like the past few years have been the worst, and I'm not progressing in life. And I never thought it could be because of something like losing my hair. I've watched a few videos of you interviewing other guys, and it really touched me and made me quite emotional hearing them talk about the emotions and thoughts that I'm so afraid to share. I feel like I just made my first step towards fixing how I'm feeling by sending this email. And he said he'd love the chance to talk and hear my thoughts. So I thought I'd open this one up to you guys as well. I think just really quickly, a couple of the main points there. It's a really big deal for him. It's obviously holding him back, and he's struggling to kind of, talk about it and share it. But the first step being, he has sent that email to me after seeing the videos, your guys' videos, things like that. So what do you guys think?
With that one, it's for me that's 100% relatable, because I was at the stage where I was in severe depression regarding it. So I was, it was really mentally affecting me as well. So it's I think the first point really people like myself have been there as well. So it's it can affect you in that way, and obviously it sucks when it does. The interesting point in that particular email though is obviously he's realized that it's not worth he's now knowing it's not worth worrying or putting that much focus into the hair. He's kind of looks like he's getting through to that particular point, but obviously he's still, because it's a routine. Obviously it's so hard to break out of. Once you're in that routine, it's it's almost like your Arsenal essentially. It's your fallback option. Essentially, that's where I look at it. So it's hard to kind of break that cycle and then switch it up.
Yeah.
But I think the first step he has made is that he is realizing that it's not worth worrying. It's not worth worrying about, and he's kind of, I think he's taken a step back and obviously looking at how much time it's taking to do all these things, and obviously doing all these treatments and not unfortunately seeing the results he wants to see. So I think if you're getting to that point, then, and obviously you're sending this email, it does look like you are slowly getting taken to the idea of going for a shave look, or maybe just going for a conservative cut, because I think that's what helped me the most. Is when I got to this, it wasn't, I guess it was like desperation in a way. I was kind of like, look, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm wasting way too much time. It's affecting my relationship. It's affecting things I'm doing, inside and outside the house. So I went with a conservative cut, and it just gave me a feel of what it could be like, or what my head shape's like, etc. And then after that point, I was kind of like, okay, I that's when for me, I really liked it. So that's when I went the full whack with it. So it's, if you have the confidence, and obviously if you're thinking that is an excellent, plus it's lockdown, so I was screaming out for this time, right? I was like, if a time where I could have done the shave my head, it would have been now, not being able to kind of deal with the reactions personally for me. I was kind of screaming out for this time, so I would kind of took full advantage. But yeah, I would probably recommend maybe go for a conservative cut and then maybe get a feel for it. And if you don't like it, you're probably going to still have a decent head of hair. That's, you can always grow it back, and then look at different options, etc. for that. But yeah, I think with lockdown at the moment, I think the opportunity is given those of people actually is that a lot of people are shaving their hair, whether they're losing their hair or not losing their hair. So it's actually becoming more socially acceptable at the moment, and it's really cool to see. So I think it's more, it's building more bit of a bigger society regarding it. So I think if you did do it now, you're gonna have, well, you wouldn't think, no one really thinks this, but probably in my head when I was going through it, I would feel that I'd have less attention on what people are going to think. But then the counter side to that is obviously I also wanted the reactions as well to kind of see what people thought, and obviously those reactions actually helped me to go for it. So yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to butt in there. No, sorry about that. It's you almost want to. It's that whole thing, and we did speak about this a little bit yesterday. Of like, is it better to go in thinking like, oh, if I don't like it, I can grow it back, or oh, I've still got 3 weeks before, you know, I'm going to go out. Well, I hope 3 weeks before we go out into the outside world. If I don't, you know, I've got time to get used to it. Or is it better if you're at that point where we just said, when you're feeling this is getting ridiculous now? Like this guy, it obviously seems like he's at that point where he's recognized it's getting ridiculous. You know, he said he's doing everything, the drugs, the oils, the laser helmets, like that is literally like everything. And he's to the point where he's watched the videos. And this is why, guys, I fucking love doing this shit so much, because there's a guy who would have been, you know, look at all the stuff he's doing. And I guarantee it wouldn't even registered in his mind, oh, I could actually be happy like without this hair. And he's just, you know, probably the video's been recommended to him, like one of these interviews. And he's like, hang on a minute. There's 2 guys my age talking about how they've shaved it off and now they feel so much better. Like, what's this? You know, and it's just started to like bring up that feeling of like, oh, maybe this is a better alternative to what I'm doing.
I gotta say, man, that sounds exactly like the message that I sent you. Like,
yeah,
mine was probably a bit shorter, but like that, like as you were reading that, down to the hesitancy to reach out, down to, and you were, I think your YouTube sub count whenever I like looked you up, I think was like 6,000 or something.
Yeah,
it was under 10 for sure. And then on Instagram, it was like 3,000 or 6,000. And at the time I was at 3,000 Instagram followers. So in terms of like creator to creator, it didn't seem like this massive reach. Whereas if I wanted to reach out to like Casey Neistat, like good luck. Like he's not even going to see the message. But as far as like this goes, like it sounds exactly like what I thought. And I think that going to your point before is like, should you go into this with a mentality of, well, if I don't want to, I can go back? Or should we just cannonball off the high dive and be done with this shit and no looking back? And I think that absolutely the latter is the way to go, because you're not going back. I'll tell you right now, because it goes back to my first point. What do you have to go back to? You want to go back to a thinning head of whatever, or a balding crown of whatever you had. Like I had one. Like I would never go back. Why would I grow it back? So I could have the same problems that I just ran away from?
Yeah, and go back to that mental state. Sorry.
So would I go back so that I could pay for haircuts again? Would I go back so that I can rush into the back of class again? Would I go back so I could wear a hat literally every time it was socially acceptable to do so? Would I continue calling my pictures on, you know, all the dating apps and just Instagram in general, just, you know, these presentations of yourself that you don't find, you know, good or flattering? Like, no, like you're not going back. That's the point.
Yeah. I think just really quickly, I think the only really good thing I can see about having that view of like, oh, if I don't like it, I can grow it back, is because, okay, fine. If you kind of just have that little thought in your head, if that is the thing that gives you enough, what's that word, reassurance to do it, then it's a good thing. Then absolutely it's a good thing. Because like you said, when it is done, that is when you realize, whoa, like I'm not going to grow this back and have to start doing all that stuff again. Like I'm done with it. So that, I think that is where, you know, I think that's the sort of final word on the whole. We were kind of struggling about it yesterday, of like that thing about like, oh, should you advise people to just like, oh, if you don't like it, grow it back? I think the only really good thing about that is because you can kind of be sure, you know, you can be very confident that if you do say that and it gives them the reassurance to take the step and shave it off, they ain't going to be growing it back, you know?
Yeah, to that point, I'd say anything that increases the probability of somebody making the move is in that way a good thing. So
yeah, especially if you like this
insult them if you need to, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, not in a mean way, but I mean, if you really think someone needs that type of encouragement, I wouldn't even put teasing past the point of like, sometimes medicine doesn't taste great. And
yeah,
that's all.
that's the point you made. Yeah, it's not just really quick. Yeah, it's not so much insulting. It's more like tough love. You know, sometimes you've got to like suck it up. You know, just really suck it up. You've got to, you know, not sugarcoat it and be like, dude, like have a think about this for a second. Like, look at your daily routines. Someone said yesterday, like literally count how many times a day you're worrying about this hair. How many times a day you're dashing into the bathroom, taking the pictures on your phone. Like scroll through the pictures on your phone. Have loads of them of just the bald spot on your head, like seeing how far it's going. If that is you, you know, just really think about it. How long do you want this to carry on for? And especially if you're doing you know, if you're doing the drugs, you're doing the oils, you're doing the laser stuff, and you're still doing that stuff, you know, just, you've really got to think about it. Is this how you want to continue? Like you said, yeah, tough love. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, I'm 22 years old, and me personally, I never did any like medicine or anything to just fix it. I kind of just like let it happen. And obviously everyone's different, but for me, like my opinion is, if all this stuff isn't working, yet you're still worrying about it, just give it a go. You know what I mean? And that kind of goes back to like what we said, like you can tell the person if you want to regrow it, you can, but think of where you are right now. And if you are depressed and obviously constantly thinking about, oh, I have to spend money on this and this and this, and I can't do this, and it's just affecting your life tremendously, it doesn't hurt to just give it a go. And who knows, like your life, and usually it does, it'll just turn right around. You won't have to spend money on that crap anymore. You won't have to worry about your hair. And everyone's said it, we're free and we're liberated. Like, it's just a great feeling. So
Yeah. And it's like that thing of if you shave it up, right, if you're doing all that stuff and it's like how to build the courage to just go for it and shave it. What is the worst that can happen? If you're already doing all that stuff, like really think about it. What is the worst thing that's going to happen to you if you shave it off? Someone's going to talk shit. That's probably the worst thing. And probably if you're doing all that stuff anyway, and it is kind of falling out, people are probably talking shit anyway, because they can tell you're insecure about it. And that's what idiots do. You know, that's what people do. You know, so literally think, what is the worst that's going to happen? Take a chance on it at least, you know?
yeah, and I think Liam said in the beginning of this call, he said, write down pros and cons. You know what I mean? Like, what's pros and cons to having hair and not having hair? Obviously, like not having hair, it's like what's a con to not having hair? I mean, you don't like shorter showers, like that's a pro, obviously. I don't know, like it's just a no-brainer, and it doesn't hurt to like write down like what's good and bad about having hair. Obviously, the cons are going to be huge, you know. So
Yeah, and having thinning hair.
Yeah, that's the point, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
I will say too. I will add to Harry's point. What's the worst thing that's going to happen is someone's going to talk shit. I will say one other risk that you do run is if you're jumping into the shower with the wireless trimmers and you have forgotten to charge them, yet they still have enough to turn on for the initial stripe up the back, and then they die.
Yeah.
That is a risk that you do incur, but I will say that it is mitigated with a charger, which are very cheap compared to hair loss products and all of the emotional turmoil. But
Absolutely.
that has happened a time or two.
I think sorry, just I know I'm talking loads, but I get real just buzzing about this stuff, literally. Like the thing that we just made a point of there, the pros and cons list, right, is when you're doing that, right, like you said, the cons, and you've got to be focusing on the cons of like have the hair when it's falling out. We're not talking about pros and cons versus having hair and not having hair necessarily, because you've got to kind of have a bit of a reality check with yourself and realize, like, I don't have perfect hair anymore. Like, my hair is falling out. So it's not like, and I think that is one of the biggest mistakes. And I've made the same mistake, you know, you're comparing it to like no hair to when I was like 14, 15 and my hair was perfect and it hadn't started falling out. Like, that isn't the reality anymore, you know, and it sucks to kind of have to realize that and be like self-aware and whatever, but that is the reality, you know. So when you're doing the pros and cons, it's like, right, it's no hair versus hair that is falling out, you know. Yeah,
not much to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say like that's exactly it. Like when you're doing that comparison, you got to be literally you can't think of like you've got that amazing hairline. It's to where you are now. Is that routine maybe it's an hour or 2 hours long really worth carrying out, or you can just shave your hair. In fact, you can wake up and literally 2 minutes stroll out and go outside and do what you need to do, go to work. Like it is as simple as that. There's no real kind of trip up there. So I think that's the way you got to look at it for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. I made a couple of notes just on that thing. Just one thing I said is like the bit where he says, I've dealt with depression and low self-esteem and a number of issues concerning his hair. He says, I'm tired of knowing that it isn't a big deal and that hair doesn't really matter and still obsessing over it every day. And I've just written on there, it's important. It's obviously important to him at the moment. And it goes back to that point that I made in the sort of first one where I said, you find something to replace it. He says he's like, it shouldn't be a big deal, but it obviously is a big deal for him. And I think you've got to find something that can replace that, Go for it, man.
Yeah, just like a quick note. I think the fact that he's writing that he's like reflecting and self-aware and he knows that it isn't a big deal. I think he's actually quite far along way. I think there's not a lot holding him back anymore because he's like realizing, look, I'm doing all these things and they're making me so unhappy, but I'm still trying to hold on to it. So like I just encourage him by writing that. I think it's really good. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it's actually I didn't pick up on, but if you think about it, the way he words it at the start, he's talking down on the stuff that he's using as well. He's like, I'm on the Propecia, I'm on the oils, I'm on the laser. He's like, I'm doing all of that crap is literally how he's sort of wording it, So that obviously isn't working for him. Otherwise he'd be like, oh, I'm doing, 2 tablets of this every other day. And it's, I think I'm getting results. He's not in that stage. So I think you're right, Liam. I think he's almost, I think that email is just him basically like acknowledging it to himself almost. And to be honest, I get that a lot. It's like it's just him like pretty much just talking to himself, but he's sending it to me and hey, that's awesome. So I think really he knows he knows what, what he needs to do, I think. And he's just getting to that point where he's just putting it out there.
Awesome.
I really quickly.
Certain people do that.
Yeah.
People do that, and I'm one of them. Like I will have already made a decision in my head, and I'll go talk to my dad or my girlfriend. I'm like, hey, I was thinking about doing this. Like, what are your thoughts? And it's like I'm not actually even concerned with your opinion on what it is. I'm sorry, Dad, but I've more or less already made up my mind. I'm really just throwing out the number one, the notion that I'm doing it if it's like a major purchase or something, or like just kind of listening out for things that I haven't thought of, maybe that someone else's perspective will give me. But given that he's already sent an email to somebody and he already knows your position on the issue, so he's not looking to hear your opinion. Again, it's just saying it out loud. I think we all do that as guys because like we hesitate to, call our friends and do these things. Like we have these conversations with ourselves in our heads and we have to validate sometimes.
Before I shaved my head, and I didn't tell anyone that I was going to shave my head, but I would just always talk to my friends and my girlfriend and be like, oh, what if I shave my head? And it was always in my head. And they're just like, why don't you just do it?
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like, they don't want to hear it. I mean, they can hear, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, you're bothering them. Just, you have the decision made up in your mind. You just got to trust in yourself and just go for it.
I saw a thing today and I actually posted it on Instagram and it goes perfectly with this. I saw someone write something like, with a coin toss, they were like, if you're like making a decision, right? And you're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to flip a coin. It's like, as soon as you flip it in your head, you instantly think of what you want it to land on. If you think back to a time you've done it where you're like, oh, say if there's a guy there, should I shave it? Shouldn't I? And they're like, oh, okay, heads, I'm gonna shave it. Tails, I'm not. And then as soon as they flip it, they know in their head what they want it to land on. So it doesn't even matter what the coin says. You know what you want to do. I think it ties in really well with that point. So does anyone else want to say anything on that? Or I think the dude who's written that in, if this goes up on YouTube, the whole thing, he knows the answer, dude. go for it.
Yeah, he knows what he has to do. Yeah, he has to do it now.
Do it.
He has to do it now.
Love it.
And you've seen all those like TikToks and whatever videos where like I'll
Yeah,
have
man,
the
yeah.
razor here and I'll like pass it over to, I don't know if you're on the grid thing, but yeah, pass it over to you and you say, put it down to Liam. 100% we need to do that. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, or like I'll be here like lathering up the shaving brush. Lucas will have one, I'll pass it over to him. He'll do that. Oh, love it.
We
Right.
could do some interesting cut editing there.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I really want to focus on the whole thinking it's going to look bad thing, right? So there was another guy here. He says, "I'm 19 years old, and I'm bald, like really bald." He's obviously not bald, but he's going bald at the crown there. He says, "I'm super insecure about it." He's tried different haircuts. He said he even tried a man bun. Nothing works. He says, the question though is, how do you find the courage to just take it off? He feels like he's going to look hideous. So the question I want to put out there, right, is how do you, or can you even do it? How do you get over that fear of, if I shave my head, I'm going to look old, I'm going to look ugly? Like, I'd actually be really curious as well to hear your guys, like what you thought you were going to look like. That is a thing. That is a real thing, I think, when your hair's fallen out. At least it was for me. You know, this thing where you think you're going to look hideous, you know, with it. Was that a thing for you guys or not?
Yeah, for sure. I had the big receding hairline, and then it was starting to thin here. And I remember my girlfriend saying, "You have plenty of hair. Why do you want to get rid of it?" And I'm just like, "Cause I don't want to look like a freaking turd." You know what I mean? Like, it's just obvious. Like, just I don't want the horseshoe. Like, it's just so much better if it's just all off. You don't have to worry about it. I don't know. It's kind of similar to what you were saying, Harry. Anyone else?
Yeah, I had the exact same conversation with my girlfriend because she said we had actually never talked about it, but she knew like it was affecting me, that it was thinning, and I was constantly asking her to delete the pictures and whatnot, and we hadn't really talked about it. But then I just said, "Yeah, I really think I'm going to shave it off," and she said, "Liam, you've got loads of hair. Please don't do it." And then I was like, "Oh no, what am I going to do now?" But then it obviously it got to a stage. I think that it was only about 2 weeks after I sent you the message that I had ordered the Remington quick cut thing, and then I just did it because I was so desperate. And then she said, "Oh, it looks quite good actually," and yeah, she loves it. And she says it's better now. So, but as you were saying with that thing you had with that you'd seen all these images, doesn't that like show us how bad society can like affect our way of thinking? And because it was totally irrational, wasn't it?
It's bad, but there is a look to it. And I'm thinking of like memes, and I've seen like there's a picture of I think it's Tom Brady online where like someone's photoshopped him as like a bald guy, and that was like literally the image that I thought I was going to look like. But also, like Liam said, I think that's a really good point. Like, if I see a guy out in the street and he's rocking the horseshoe or something, I don't look at him and think in my head like, dude, that looks so bad. Like, I don't even care. I'm not even thinking like, oh, what does that guy's hair look like? But it's weird, isn't it? Like, obviously, I think that a clean shaved head looks better than that. At least I think for me, me. And I think a lot of people would agree. And I think even guys, my dad was rocking the kind of long horseshoe. He buzzes it off now to like a 1, to like a 2, whereas before he was like the longer look. And I think, I don't know if that was a thing from like the, like 70s, 60s, 70s, where like, a fully shaved head just wasn't that acceptable. It was still considered, a thug or like racist and stuff like that, like a white supremacist.
Yeah. But it's true though. Like it's crazy.
Society, right?
I think, like, I don't know if like when you're watching films, for example, when I don't know, like a classic, I don't know, like a prisoner film, for example, you got that bald man, like, I don't know, rigged and like, it just has a scary look. It's like, I don't know, like for me, I was like, I don't want to look like an intimidating kind of guy. Do you know what I mean? I was like, that's not the look I want. I just want to look, I just want to fit into the mold of society, what I thought it was at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's great. I think, it's interesting actually. I don't know if you guys probably know this or not, but there's like a darts program called Bullseye.
Yeah.
And my dad went on it about 40 years ago, and it was mad, right? They basically, literally last week they showed the actual, the recording of what he did. He was on TV, right? And he had hair, like I've never seen my dad with hair ever, like never seen it. And he basically had like the horseshoe look, like massive, I don't know, like really receding hairline. I was like, I knew, I was like, oh, if I saw that, I would know that would have been me.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
But yeah, I think like back then, I don't think I spoke to my dad about it. It's like it just wasn't much of a worry back then. Apparently, it just kind of wasn't. It wasn't. There wasn't like an attention on it like there is now. I think with the social media platforms, they kind of completely brought in proportion. But yeah, like I went looking at that, I was like, yeah, it looks like he really did not worry. I don't know. I think it was just different back then. But I guess it's hard to say, right?
Yeah, and obviously, like things like SMP didn't exist. You know, hair transplants were probably just for like the super rich or like just not so common. You know, there probably wasn't Propecia. It was like I think Propecia came out in the 90s. You know, hair systems definitely weren't around. It was maybe just like a wig. I think my grandfather had a wig. You know, and it's like so because they couldn't rock up with a shaved head and people thought they were gonna like start doing Nazi salutes and like burn the place down. They had no choice but to kind of keep and style the only hair that they had left. You know, I think that's what it is. But now, it's a bit like tattoos, isn't it? Back then, like 50s, 60s, tattoos were for people in prisons. And now, especially in the UK and that, States is probably the same. It's just, it's like not cool to have tattoos anymore because everyone has them. I mean, I've got them, but it's like, it's so normal now. It's so normal. It's not a thing that people kind of look at someone with a tattoo and think like, oh no, like, they must be like, keep away from that guy. It's just really, it's just normal now. And I think the whole, this way of dealing with hair loss is luckily, I love to see it becoming more acceptable like that.
Yeah. And I think like talking about back then, it wasn't such a thing, rocking the horseshoe. I think there weren't these like perfect images of masculinity.
Yeah.
And like male beauty. I don't know whether you can say it that way, but like these perfect male images around. And I think that really affected me too, like seeing people on Instagram or I would when I would see people like young men my age, the first thing I'd do would look at the hair and check the hairline.
Yes.
That's normal, mate.
So true. Yeah.
That is just weird.
Yeah.
So I think they really had it easier back then, I think, regarding that.
He knows. No, he's got it.
Chances are, if you just gone into the workplace, back then, there wasn't all this like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, like I work for myself. It was very much go to school, go to college, get a job in an office or a company, whatever. And you probably sat there looking at a ton of other men that are in their like, mid-20s, 30s and rocking the horseshoe, like you weren't going home scrolling through all the, like you said, all these perfect images of people. So yeah, you're stuck, you're in your office and it's normal. Like, oh yeah, that guy's got the same haircut as me. It's just, it wouldn't be a thing,
Life was simpler. I think that's the thing, isn't it? Life was just simpler. You didn't have those resources to work, to compare yourself to. So it's because that's what it is essentially, isn't it? Really, you're just comparing yourself to whatever you're what you're looking at. So it's but back then, I guess they didn't have those resources to do that. So and that's probably why it's more of a worry now, because obviously you've got a lot more. There's a lot more resources to kind of look at and compare yourself and build this negative connotation stuff in your head. So
this whole thing that we're doing here, right, with Baldcafe and talking about hair loss, right? It's losing your hair is something that happens to so many men, right? Like so many. The fact that it is completely normal. It's not like we're not talking like 1% of the male population here. The figures, and it's such a weird thing, isn't it? Like talking about, because I'm sure we've all been brought up. We're all the same similar age. We've probably been brought up in a similar way, and it's like men. Like we said, someone said earlier about being the provider and things like that. You're supposed to like show strength and things like that. And it's like, think about that email where the guy said, like, I feel ridiculous worrying about something like this. I feel silly that I'm worrying about something like hair, but it is a very real concern now. And you have seen over the last 10 years, like so much of this, like body positivity and things like that in like in the space for women, you know. You see things on Instagram when everyone was like photoshopping, and then all these women started coming out with like, showing off their stretch marks and, different sizes and things like that, because that is what women look like. That's what women look like. And a man to have like a receding hairline, or his hair's falling out, or to have a shaved head, that is what men look like. This isn't the minority here. And I think that's one of the best things about like what we're doing here, is to just help get that message out that this is normal. This is the norm. This isn't something like, we're not some weird little group of like 1%ers who are like, oh guys, we need to talk to each other because we're dealing with something that no one else is. But yeah, that's how you feel when it first happens, because there isn't a lot of stuff like this. People just being able to talk, chin wag about something like this issue, because I think for men as well, it's still very much in that space of like, oh no, we shouldn't be talking about this. Don't talk about it. This is something you need to be embarrassed about.
I like this whole toxic masculinity thing, and like how that contributes or plays into the balding thing, and then like what that new image of yourself plays into all these other different little things. Like, I think it is what you make of it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
The guy that rides around in a sleigh at Christmas time, I'm pretty sure, is bald underneath his hat. I mean, like, it doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. It doesn't mean an aggressive thing or overly so. Or if it does, then I don't think that's bad.
Do you think that going through losing your hair at the age that you did and shaving it off, do you think it made you a stronger person?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
I was just telling, who was I telling? I think I was telling my buddy this. Going through like that decision and the stress and putting all that aside, like I see life a different way. I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but I don't have that worry anymore. So I'm like focusing on like how to make myself a better person as a whole, and overall just it's like I'm definitely stronger than what I was a year ago. You know what I mean? And going through is like something that stressful, and like how much anxiety that brought, like, and getting rid of that, like it's huge. So
I think it's definitely a lot stronger, and it's in meaningful ways. Like, it's not trying to put your hair back with a product and, oh, now I'm stronger. Like, it's putting yourself back in, like, you're working out more, you're probably doing other type of personal development. Like, it's rebuilding yourself and rebranding and working on your image in genuinely positive ways that actually matter as a human being, rather than playing into consumerism and, oh, now I have a better car, now I'm better, or oh, I used this look to get a better job, and like now I can make more money and spend more money and I have a bigger house, now I'm better. Like, that doesn't make you better. Like, if you're more productive at work, that's fine. Or if your image plays into more confidence and that translates into more material things, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But in general, I think it lends itself to a situation where you start to really genuinely work on yourself as a person, rather than working on an appearance of a person.
Yeah.
That person being you.
yeah, real quick, there is so much more to life. I mean, there are so many people in this world that are disabled, or they have cancer, or they don't have arms. You know what I mean? Like, there's these things where hair should not matter. And I'm honestly thankful for like what I have in my life. I have a loving family, and I'm me, and this one little thing that was bugging me so much, I got rid of it, and I'm just super thankful. Just it's only hair. It's not like I said, there's so many other people in this world that are starving, and just think the big picture here. You know what I mean?
I asked the question because it's sometimes difficult for me to like describe or really put into words about like how it genuinely, the whole experience in general, how it does just really make you a better person. Like Lucas said, it makes you go to that place where you have those conversations with yourself. Why am I doing this? Like, why am I worrying about this so much? What do I actually care about? Whose opinions like do I actually value? And it's something that forces you to go to that place that you otherwise wouldn't have gone to. You would have just continued in this sort of like I don't even know what sort of state it is. But yeah, when you get like raw with yourself like that, you know, that's a weird term. But when you know, it's just when you go to that space that is uncomfortable to go to. And it's really interesting, Lucas, and I do that all the time. When you're explaining it, when it's weird, innit? Guys,
Yeah.
when we explain something, like even me asking that question, I feel weird asking like, hey guys, does it make you stronger to do this? But it's like, why is that? Why do we feel like that? You know, like we shouldn't be able to say things like, it's like, you know, we sort of, oh, not to get all like mumbo jumbo, but after I shaved it off, like I really felt like just this feeling of just like peace. That's like a legitimate statement and a good thing to happen. But it's like we feel weird saying it, like we're gonna seem weak or like, you know, really, oh, I'm at peace with myself. But it's
almost like you can't be
thing.
positive. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
You can't be positive. You can't be positive about yourself, or you feel like, oh, if I'm being positive about myself, I'm trumpet man trumpet. It's like I don't know. Yeah, like I'm the same thing. Like it's kind of, you know, when people say, oh, do you feel better about yourself shaving hair? I say, yeah, I do feel better. Like I feel like I don't want to elaborate because it's, I don't know. It's, I guess in my head, it's like, did I really care? Probably not. Like, but yeah, like I think, I think everyone can probably agree. It's like, it is like literally the best feeling. Like once you have that insecurity and it's just literally gone by shaving your hair. Like it's simple as well. Like it's simple. It's not like it's not like, other people who might have like insecurities. It probably takes a lot bigger things to actually get rid of that insecurity. So because it's quite a simple tool to do. Like obviously once you build your self-esteem, your confidence to do it, like it's like it's liberating. But yeah, like I think being positive about it is, for whatever reason, you're like, oh, do I go there? Do I not? You're kind of on the fence a little bit. But I think that's the good thing about having this chat with everyone out here. Like, we can all safely say, like, it is a great thing. You're not going to go back to those worrying days, and you're not going to, you're going to get rid of all that anxiety, essentially. So it's like, yeah, I think why not be positive about it? Like, it is what it is, isn't it? So, and I think in my journey, what I wanted to do is obviously, if someone ever said, oh, if someone ever made a comment about my receding hairline or, me being bald or, had a chat, I have a natural thing of just going red, like being embarrassed. Like my skin complexion goes like a tomato. So it's like, if I can get to that day where someone asks me about my hair or, when I shave my head and I'm not, I don't feel myself heating up and getting embarrassed. Like then I know I'm, completely cool within myself. Yeah. And that was always like my end goal, really, was even to get it. Like even when I even shaved my head, I was like, okay, cool. Now I need that conversation with someone to do that to me, to bring that out of me. So yeah, like it's awesome.
Liam, did you want to say something quickly?
I just wanted to say one quick thing. Quickly. That initial feeling when I was still recording the video and I was just buzzing my hair off, like the first time I touched it, that was weird, but like it was just such an incredible feeling. Like, because everything just felt awesome. It was like a drug, like being on a drug or something, because it was just like all these worries were just gone instantly. And it just, looking back at how you were back then, worrying about it the whole time, it makes you like, now it makes you feel like a different person nearly.
It is a great feeling, we can all agree. We'll wrap this up in a minute. We got those two things there. Does anyone else want to say something really quickly just about this guy? He feels like he's going to look hideous. That's sort of where we started on that point. He feels like he's going to look hideous. Is there a way that you can kind of get over that? Or do you just have to kind of live it and see it for yourself?
I feel like he should build up his confidence and just own what he's got. I mean, God created us and we're all different and we're all unique. And we're who we are. I mean, we just got to be confident in ourselves and just really like own our skills. And I'm sure he's got plenty of talents that other people like don't have. And I'm sure he's got some great features. I mean, he shouldn't have to worry about it. I mean, we are who we are and just own it. So
I wonder if a lot of our insecurities about what will look like after the shave are predicated on our perceived notions about what women are looking for, assuming that the guy's heterosexual. And I wonder if I don't know. I actually told Rachel that that I was jumping on this call today, and she was like, "Oh, I will be happy to tell them that I've seen you without hair, and then I've seen pictures of you with hair, and I'm so glad that you shaved your head. Like, it looks better and all this other stuff." Yeah, Harry, jump on that.
Greg, someone sent me a message today, and this is, guys, I think you've all got girlfriends, right?
Yeah.
Right. So something I want to do is get them on. Get them on.
Yes.
because so many people are like, is something they worry about so much. It's literally like 99% of the worries. And so
Rachel, come here.
I mean, Rachel's coming out. Right? We can schedule it. It's all good.
Hi.
Hi. Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Hi, Rachel. Nice to meet you. So I was just telling the guys that I got a message today, and something that someone said is, hey, you should get like a woman on, or some of these girlfriends. It's like loads of these guys who come on the channel, they have girlfriends, and it's something that so many people, something that so many guys worry about is like, what is my girlfriend going to think, or am I going to be able to get a girlfriend? So, I mean, you're here now, and we're going to get in touch with everyone else's girlfriend as well. Like, as a woman, right? I suppose, well, there's literally so many questions, so we'll talk briefly now, but we definitely want to reschedule this for like a longer call or something. But is it even a thing that you notice or you think about, like a guy with like who's losing his hair or who shaves it off? Like, how important is it?
Actually, that's a very good question. I don't think it's that important. It's important in the sense of the confidence. Is that weird to say? I don't mean it's, I guess.
No. Are you saying it's more important that the guy's confident with whatever it is than whatever it is?
Yes. I mean, we all have, I don't know, what we find beautiful, handsome, and aesthetics are all and that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So I guess to some it may matter. Oh, it's the same, I think, with men. Like, does her hair really matter that much in a sense to you?
Yeah. Does it matter if she's a blonde or brunette or redhead, or are you happy, as long as she's got her shit together?
Plus the first thing, if you're a good person, that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
But I met him before or after he shaved. So the Greg I know, oh my goodness,
has always been
super
shaved.
handsome, but it's always been shaved, and you're so handsome. I mean, you're handsome before. I saw pictures of you beforehand, but
this is ridiculous. I didn't tell her to say that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking.
This is
Greg,
I'm just saying. You owe me $5 later. No. It's 100% true. Did you guys already talk about something like this? Or?
No, he was just saying, the question came up about a guy writing into the show being scared to shave because he was worried about what he would look like after the fact. And I raised the point that I wonder if a lot of those insecurities stem from preconceived notions of what women want.
True.
And I was just saying that we could lay to rest really quickly that the bald look has gone out of touch with women, because there are women who date bald guys. Every guy in this chat, case in point.
Hi, and I date. Well, you're the first bald guy I've ever dated.
Exactly. So
and you're
it's
the best. High five.
So it's not something that they're scared to do. It's not something that like, oh, she has to be into bald guys or she has to be into older looking men. It's like, I think if you're a badass, she'll be into you anyway.
Yeah. And if she's a badass, she'll be into you.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I totally agree. I mean, that's, we all kind of know that, and that's the assumption. But I think, Greg, it's also kind of telling as well, right? Like, if you think back, I don't know what Rachel her thoughts are on this, but if you think back to the guy who was, be on a video shoot and would be worrying about the hair, or like going through it, kind of obsessing over the shots, that's someone who isn't sure of himself,
Yes.
And you would 100% like communicate that out and pick up on it. So it's kind of telling, that you've dealt with that, and now, you're kind of at the place you're at now. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not a mistake. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That's the same with women too. I've been blonde my entire life, and right before him, I dyed my hair red, and then I went back. But I was worried, like, would I be aesthetically pleasing, or would people like me? Then at one point, I'm like, I like me. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it, and I don't want to But I went back to blonde because it's a lot of better, easier upkeep. But
Yeah,
I know that, you know.
It's about like well, Greg made a great point about like, you know, someone who's got their shit together, someone who like adds something to your life, is like easy to hang out with, you know. Those genuinely are the things that are important. But there's, I mean, the whole girlfriend thing and you know, attraction and stuff is literally like, we could do another 10 hours on that. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, you all look fabulous, and
Thank
it's
you,
a pleasure
thank you.
meeting you
Thank you
guys.
so much, Rachel.
you,
Appreciate it.
Rachel.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good
I
stuff.
think people with dating though, like people find like, you know, dating's hard as it is, let alone before you even go with the whole hair situation. I think that's just one added more thing, you know, which you're worrying about before even dating. So I think with dating, there's so much riding on it because you obviously want to impress in every single way possible. So it's I think
like,
you know that builds up a lot of nerves and fear, I think, for that.
If I think back, and you probably guys, I'm sure you were the same. If I think back to when I first started dating, when I even had hair, I would be worrying about like, do I smell good? Where are we going? You know, like, okay, when we're eating, like, am I eating weird?
Yeah.
You know, like, what should I say? I need some conversation. Oh, does this shirt make me look jacked or real skinny? You know, like, you're worrying about so many things. Like, hair is just another one of those things, you know? So it's just, you can't see it as this like be all and end all of like, oh, if I don't have hair, like that's it, because it just isn't. And it's so easy to like play it up and really get yourself worked up so much about the whole hair loss or being bald thing is going to be the death sentence with women. It's so easier for some reason to just get worked up in that. And I think you just got to bring it down to reality, you know, and realize like it really just isn't going to be a concern if you don't make it one. Should we wrap up for tonight? I think we covered a lot of good topics, and I really enjoyed it. Like this, I'm sure you can.
This was
tell.
awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure
This
you
was
can.
awesome. You guys are great.
It's good. It's good to meet everyone as well because I've watched everyone's podcast. It's so weird.
It's
you know?
cool, right?
Yeah, same.
It's pretty sweet because I'm pretty sure I watched Luca's podcast. I don't know if it was before or after. I can't remember. But I remember watching yours. I remember yours. I was like, oh, yeah, decent. Yeah,
Lucas,
awesome.
Lucas,
yeah.
you were like number 2. What? You were like the second guy.
Too.
Yeah.
You were the second guy ever?
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
Baldcafe?
for the live.
For the live. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The third.
Yeah,
Liam was
third,
after.
It's just weird, isn't it? I think when you actually,
it's cool.
It is sick. It's so cool.
This is like so important to me doing this stuff now, and I enjoy it so much. In this video or whatever, you can just see we are not depressed, you know, especially at least not over the hair loss. You know, this has not destroyed our lives. You know, the complete opposite. I think just the complete opposite.
We're all happy bald people.
Happy bald people, and it's really telling.
Yeah. It's a catalyst for a lot of really positive changes in your life that you wouldn't even associate the two. You wouldn't think, oh, if I shave my head, will I lose weight? If I shave my head, will I make more money? Or if I shave my head, will I date, you know, more attractive women or, you know, men or whatever that may be? Like, there's so many other things that I think it comes down to what we talked about before. You're harnessing time and mental effort, not concerning yourself with it, not being anxious and not spending the money on the products or spending the time worrying about it or the mental anguish dealing with the inevitable 24/7 worry about the whole thing.
Yeah. But guys, just thank you so much. It annoys me because just saying like, oh yeah, thanks. It doesn't feel enough because you've all played like such a big part in this. It's literally just having this conversation. It has helped all of us out. And just think about like this expanded to the like 1.5 million views a month at the moment, you know?
So
it's
good.
Like crazy numbers of people. And I mean, that's why I started these videos, the forum. And this isn't bragging. I just want to communicate like how thankful I am to everyone that gets involved with the channel, because it is just, you know, I said in the early videos, you know, it's here to help people, as many guys around the world as I can, you know, go deal with balding bravely, confidently, and it's doing it.
One quick question, like what really made you start it? Because it made you feel so shitty.
Honestly, this was like the first time in my life where I'd got real, like with myself, like with my emotions, you know, because I was like, dude, through school, I was quite overweight. And I used to, why I talk about people who talk shit all the time, because I used to do it. I was the guy who would like pick faults at other people because I didn't want the attention on me being a fat kid. Because I knew if someone pointed that out, I'd feel bad about myself. So I was insecure about myself. So I used to talk shit about other people and like joke to get that off other people, you know? So I think losing my hair was the first time in my life that I got real with myself and like how I felt. And it made me feel really shit. But then the fact that I went to that place and then decided, right, I'm going to act on this now. I'm not going to do any of that other stuff. This is me. I need to deal with it and go with it. I did it. I shaved my hair off and I felt so awesome. Like the best I'd ever felt in my life, you know? And I was just like, I sat back and I thought, well, if I'm going through this, how many other people are dealing with the same thing, you know? And so I thought, I'm going to do a video and I'm just going to talk about it. No intentions of like massive views or anything. I was like, this is how I felt. And I saw that an app, the trigger was an app. I was like reviewing apps at the time on YouTube, and it was an app where you could like Photoshop a beard, Photoshop your hair, Photoshop abs on yourself. And I was like, what is this bullshit that we're saying to people? Like, you need to do this stuff, you know? Because guys would be looking at it and thinking like, oh yeah, I need to touch up. My arm's a bit bigger or whatever. And it pissed me off because that, you know, I kind of saw that as part of the reason why I felt bad about it as well. And so I shared my story just like 100% out there. And I got a couple of comments like, this really helped me. Like, you know, I'm going through the same thing. Thanks for like talking about it. And I was like, oh, it just made me feel good to know that I'd help someone else kind of feel better about it. I just kept going. I just enjoyed making the videos, kept going with it. And then I used to sit there, like write down ideas for different videos. And I was like, okay, I should get someone else to share their story, start doing the podcast. Then Adam got into, and I think like 3 people got in touch before Adam and said, oh, I'm going to shave it. And like, I'll do it like on the channel or something. And they all backed out. They didn't do it.
Yeah.
And Adam was the first one that went through with it. He was like, he broke the barrier, if you like, you know. And I'm forever in debt to him, you know, because I think because just again seeing someone else doing that, Lucas and Liam, probably then made you think like, hey, this dude did it. I'm going to do the same thing because that's awesome, you know. And then Greg, probably the same for you, you know, like, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. Other people have done it. Let's do it. And
I wonder if Adam's video is the one that I saw.
Probably.
That's why I just had that moment.
After mine. I think Greg was straight after mine.
Yeah. And that's pretty much how it worked out. Yeah. And it's just like, I honestly, like I said, when I can't, what do I say? Word my like gratitude and thanks to you guys. It's the same for like how to like speak out how I feel about, you know, doing this stuff, like the messages I get and stuff like that. And I keep saying I'm going to share them with you, but you heard me talk about the one I've got up on my wall. And it's literally a guy who's like, hey, I'm like, I don't know, 20 something, you know, been using the hair fibers. I saw the videos and stuff. And he said, like, I just looked at myself in the mirror as I was like putting on those hair fibers. And I was like, what am I doing? You know, why am I feeling like this? Like, what am I doing? And he said, you know, like you got, I shaved it off. And he's like, I've never felt better, you know? And I had the exact same experience. And it just encouraged me. Like every time someone says that, I'm like, I've got to keep going with this. I've got to keep doing more. I'm lucky. I know I'm lucky to like have found something that I'm so like just want to do all the time. It pisses me off when I have to go to work, like my actual job. And I'm there working and I'm thinking, I've got inbox going, brrr, you know, that I need to like reply to. And I'm sat here doing this, you know, and I think, oh, like looking at the clock or like, can I go? And, you know, it's just constant. And it's brilliant. It really is.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Harry, for taking a terrible thing that happens to so many people and making a positive from that. We're all thankful.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. And this is, you know, I really hope you enjoyed this because I really enjoyed it. And so
I had a blast.
yeah.
I freaking love you guys.
No, it's decent, man. It's decent. It was like,
awesome.
It's weird to see that.
And
well, Harry, what question sorry, your fitness video, that was so interesting. That's crazy.
That was a journey, mate. Yeah, that was a journey.
Yeah.
Because that was, again, that's been something that, you know, working out and stuff has been something that's been quite, you know, a big part of my life, really.
Yeah.
And that, again, that was something that I always like struggled with. And I've been bullshitting for ages. I don't know if I communicated this well enough in the video, and it was obviously a long one, so I don't know if all people got to that point. But since I came back from England and from China and whatnot, I've been saying I'm going to do fitness videos. I'm going to do some videos about fitness. But as you know, like I'm not at the point where I once was. And I was saying like, yeah, okay, when I get in shape, I'm going to do this. Like when I look a bit better. And then I don't know what it was, but one day I was like, I'm just doing the same thing I was doing with the hair. You know, I was like, why am I just not, I'm not, this isn't the truth. You know, I want to portray this image that isn't me, isn't real. Oh, I'm going to get jacked first, then I'm going to come and talk about it. But that isn't the reality. And I knew that isn't the reality for so many other guys. You see the comments, and they're like, dude, I've got exactly the same problem and whatnot. And I think we just find that stuff, you know. Yeah,
it was interesting because obviously, you know, Jen, when you see those kind of videos, you see them progressing upwards and up and upward. Whereas yours is like the opposite. Well, not the opposite.
Yeah,
around,
it went up and then like back down.
And then it was like it's just interesting because obviously, because I think it's your shoulder. You can retract your shoulder. Yeah. Because obviously, I had like the same thing. I like carpal tunnel syndrome in my wrist. So whenever I grip, I get like insane nerve pain, pinch, bang, gone. Yeah. As soon as I started getting that, I just thought I'm gonna sack this off. It's not even worth it.
Yeah.
And just drop it all off. And like it's so hard to get right back into it. But I think then you've got to set your expectations. Think, okay, I'm probably not gonna get that. Well, I'm not gonna get to that heat, that height. And I think you said being satisfied is where you were. Like that's As soon as you start chasing, it's like it's good in a way, but then it can.
I think
you lose track of sight. I think.
Yeah, it just tied in again with like just trying to put out there like what is the norm, like what is actual reality? Because if you look at all the like fitness transformations and that, 99% of them, and someone even made that comment, is like 2-year natural transformation, and they go from like nothing to Arnold Schwarzenegger overnight, and it's all the music and stuff, and that just isn't the reality for like most people. And you just gotta, and so people get demotivated. They're like, why can't I obtain this? You know, and it's just a load of rubbish. And it's so that's why I put that one out.
Yeah, that's good.
So there you go, guys. That was the first episode of our new feature here at Baldcafe in our Zoom call. I really hope that you enjoyed that one. I certainly did, and I know that the guys really enjoyed it too. So like I said at the start of the video, we're going to be doing more of these episodes. We're going to be featuring loads more people in those Zoom calls. So any questions, get them down on that forum, or if you want to, you can put them in the comment section down below. As always, guys, I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and we will see you in that next episode. Goodbye.